what would you say if I said that I could bring them back?
I guess I'd say I never thought of that.
Well, alright, hold tight, you might want to stand back, because one small Jon is coming intact.
St. Jon Forward, spitting out some more words, fully intact, jacked, ready to rap and attack. Small Jon on your lawn, living like a gnome, hit you with my lyrics like a bullet to your dome.
Tonight when he comes up here, he's either gonna kill or he's gonna suck. But there's no in between for Mr. Jon Forward.
Oh, well, I didn't know any of that.
Well, that's what I've been trying to say the whole time.
What I've been trying to say the whole time is welcome to St. Jon Forward Radio. It's Monday night, 9 o'clock, live in the booth here at Local FM. Just a quick update. My name's Jon Forward. If you've been following my social media presence, you've seen some disgusting pictures of my eyeball. Had a bit of an ongoing sty issue, which has been happening on and off for the last few years. This past week I had it repaired, sort of. Big bulge in my eyelid, just a big sack of goop in there, pressing on my eyeball so that I could not see clearly through that eye, and just kind of gross and weird looking. Anyway, had the doctor strap on the Clockwork Orange, hold the eyeball metal contraption thing open, flip her inside out, cut her open, let the stuff ooze out. Anyway, so here I am, still healing up. I'm a little bruised, it's a little itchy. I think there's still a piece left in there. There's a bit of a bump. Hoping that's still just swelling from it. But anyway, I can see now. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. And yeah, so no guest tonight. I am either sorry to disappoint or glad to oblige those of you who think that I don't talk enough on this podcast. No guest to bowl over tonight and interrupt their speaking with my own little things. It's going to be all my own little things. Well, some other little things too. I had an episode a while ago called Hot Comedy Tracks, and I've got a whole playlist of stuff that I never got to, so we'll play some more hot comedy tracks. And you know, I'm in a pissy mood tonight, so I might do some complaining. So yeah, I didn't have anybody lined up tonight and didn't really feel like asking anybody because I'm a little moody. I'm just becoming frustrated having to rely on other people for things. Mostly frustrated because, you know, when I see other people behaving in a certain way, I just feel like if I pulled that kind of shit that I see other people doing, for me to do that would be like a conscious F you, or if not, if I screwed up, I'd at least be like apologetic about it. No, I'm talking mostly about work stuff in the real life. We'll complain about comedy stuff later in the show. But just what's going on today with work. I deal with an outside trucking company to pick up trailers and ship them out every now and then. And the company that we're dealing with is just awful, but they're cheap, which is why I think my company went with them. Supposed to be loading a trailer in Fredericton tomorrow, and set it all up on Friday. Somebody said, you know, our local Fredericton truck's not been out of commission for a couple of weeks. I'm going to have to get long haul to cover this. Like, I don't care, just do it. And then this morning I come into work, and this company that we have hired to do a service for us told me that we're going to have to postpone the thing that needs to get done tomorrow for another week until they can get their stuff sorted out. And you know, they if they have to cover it with the long haul people, they have to, instead of just sending somebody in the middle of the day to do like a little 5-second move-a-roo, they'd have to pay somebody to sit there and twiddle their thumbs all day, and they need to charge us for the wait time. Like, We're already stuck doing this on it. They've told us they can only do this on Tuesdays, so we have to do it on Tuesdays, regardless of whether that makes sense for my business or not. And just because they can't get their act together to coordinate it on any other day of the week. But now they're telling us, like, not only does it have to be on Tuesdays, but not this Tuesday. You'll have to do it next week. And they're just like, no, we can't do it, which is not good to find out after things have already been set up and, I've already scheduled people to come in to make it happen. So I got to cancel all those people. And then they change their mind and say, no, we're all set for tomorrow. We got it covered. And I said, okay, good. I just hope I don't end up getting charged extra wait time fees because you're having trouble with your equipment that has nothing to do with me. No answer. So I guess I'll find out when the bill comes in a month. And same company, we did a trailer last week out of St. John on Thursday. And I needed the weight of the trailer that they go scale it. Like, I needed it on Friday because that was the end of the week. And last week was the end of our May, so I needed to get it there. Friday would have been nice. Absolutely today by noon is my Monday at noon is my deadline to lock in the previous week and hence previous month. And, I reached out on Friday like, hey, send me the scale thing. We'll get back to you. Okay. Nothing. Had to leave at 2 p.m. to go up to the Miramichi because I was working there on Saturday. Didn't come by then. Brought my laptop up to the She with me. Instead of giving her on the river, I'm checking my email at 6 p.m. Nothing. No answer. My boss had been like, hey, we need this, and they did not respond at all. I tried calling at like 6 p.m., just on hold for 15 minutes until I gave up. I don't think anybody was actually there, which is frustratingly annoying, that having to listen to a loop for 15 minutes saying, we'll be with you shortly, knowing in all likelihood there is nobody there and they will never answer the phone. So it's nothing on Friday. Nothing for me this morning when I came into work. They did eventually give me some nonsense about having problems scanning or uploading the thing. Like, just tell me the number. Somebody please look at the piece of paper and write down the number that is showing on it. I can see the picture later. And I'm just like, hey, how come everybody took off for the weekend without telling me that you're having all of these nonsense difficulties scanning a piece of paper? And one guy was like, I stapled it to the whatever form. Like, oh, great. Did anybody look at it and write down or record in any way what it said on there? And the big boss man, he assures me, no, we didn't take off for the weekend. Everybody was working late trying to get you your information. Like, what are you talking about? What is involved in working late on a Friday night to get me what I need? I just needed a number off of a piece of paper. One guy stapled 2 pieces of paper together. I don't know how long that takes. Nobody bothered to look at it. Nobody emailed me. Nobody called me. They could have picked up the phone and called somebody today. That seemed like it. That seems like a simple thing, but it took like 5 hours, long past my deadline to get everything locked in for the week and for the month. When it did come in, the time on the thing showed that they've had this information since like 10 a.m. Friday morning, and just nobody bothered to do anything with it because some idiot couldn't figure out how to scan a piece of paper and upload it to something or other. Frustrating. And then the numbers that were on the scale didn't even make any sense. And they were just like, yeah, we'll have to check on that. We know that doesn't make any sense. And then they're like, yeah, no, this is the weight. This is the scale house confirmed it. And I'm like, well, how did you get that number? Because I've got to send this scale ticket off to our customer who's buying the stuff off us to say, here, we gave you this many pounds, so give us this many monies. And I can't just say, here's a scale ticket, but, you know, it doesn't match up. But they said that it was actually this weight, and I trust them with my life when I don't. So, hey, who did the math on this? Where did this number come from? No answer. Frustrating. Also, having trouble hiring. I think I've complained about that before. Interviewed and made a guy an offer a month ago for a 6-month contract position that he accepted to the recruiter. And, which was good because I was worried that we weren't going to get any good people for, posting for a 6-month contract. I don't know. I wasn't expecting a great pool of candidates. I wouldn't apply for that job because I would like some more stability, but that's what we had. But this guy that we interviewed, like, I was worried that we were just going to get a bunch of unemployed losers that were just going to take whatever they could get, and then as soon as they find something better, they'd be out the door. But this guy, he's working a full-time job, but says that his job will let him take a leave of absence for 3 months, and then he'd have to go back and work like 1 day, and then they'd be able to extend the leave for 3 months. I'm like, okay, well, that's not something I've heard of, but if that's the situation, then that seems lovely. And if after 6 months, if we can make it happen, maybe this guy can stick around. But anyway, yeah, great. Here's your letter of offer. Oh, wait, Friday before this guy's supposed to come in on Monday. Actually, how about you add $3,000 to the salary and make it 1 year? I can't leave a full-time permanent job for a 6-month contract. I'm like, oh, we talked about this in the interview, and it was in the don't apply for the job, and definitely don't say yes when they offer it to you if you're not going to take it. And then we did another round of interviews. Found somebody surprisingly was even better. Lots of good experience. Another accepted the offer. That was last week, and I haven't heard from her since. Emailed her a letter of offer on Thursday. Tried to call a bunch of times. Left a message with a human person who answered the phone. Left another voicemail. Nothing. And she was supposed to start tomorrow, and I have no idea if she's going to show up or not. And we definitely did not ever have a conversation saying what time she should come in tomorrow, so my hopes aren't high. And I don't know. I just feel like I'm the only one willing to make an effort sometime, and it's frustrating having to expect other people to be as virtuous as I. But anyway, that's enough work complaining. We've got some comedy complaining coming up later, but for now, let's get to some hot comedy tracks. First one, let's open things up with a nice abortion joke. Seems like it's a relevant thing for this day and time. Shouldn't be. I think this is something that was recorded in the 90s. It's from Bill Hicks, who died like at least more than 20 years ago. And unfortunately, still relevant on St. Jon Forward Radio.
What do you say we lighten things up and talk about abortion? I feel like I'm losing some of you here, and I want to win all of you back with this one. Let's talk about abortion. Let's talk about child killing and see if we can't get some chuckles rippling through the room here. Let's talk about mass murder of young, unborn children and see if we can't coalesce into one big, healthy gut laugh. Boy, I've never seen an issue so divisive. You ever seen it? It's like a civil war, isn't it? Even amongst my friends, who are all very intelligent, they are totally divided on abortion. It's unbelievable. Some of my friends, for instance, think these pro-life people are annoying idiots. Other of my friends think these pro-life people are evil fucks. How are we going to come to a consensus? You ought to hear the arguments around my house. They're annoying, they're idiots, they're evil, they're fucks! Brothers, sisters, come together. Can't we once just join hands and think of them as evil, annoying idiot fucks? I beseech you. But that's me, Libra rising. The scales. And strangely enough, Shiva, the destroyer. Who would have thunk it? We're pro-life. Ooh, you look it. Look like you're filled with life. Oh, little kids, please don't adopt me. Please don't adopt me. We're your new Christian pro-life parents. Oh, where's the tower? Where's the gun? Where's the tower? Where's the gun? I was adopted by pro-life Christians when I was a kid. Does my penis make me a bad boy? That's what they told me. Please, give me the Satan-worshipping family down the block. The ones that have the good albums. Suddenly I'm adopted by the Flanders, you know. Hi, Bill. Isn't it another beautiful God-created morning? We're pro-life. It's like, what does that make me? You know what I mean? You're so pro-life. You're so pro-life. Do me a fucking favor. Don't block med clinics. Okay? Lock arms and block cemeteries. Let's see how fucking committed you are to this premise. She can't come in. She was 96. She was hit by a bus. There's options. What do we got to have her stuffed? What are you talking about? She's dead. We're pro-life. Get her out of that casket. Get her out. She's not going. We're pro-life people. There'll be no death on this planet. Pro-life. And I always say, see, my theory, here's my actual theory, beyond the huge, hilarious jokes I have. Here's my real theory, though. If you're so pro-life and you're so pro-child, then adopt one that's already here that's very unwanted and very alone and needs someone to take care of it to get it out of a horrible situation. Okay? And people say, well, why don't you do that? And I say, because I hate fucking kids and couldn't care less. Couldn't give a fuck. Don't care about it all about abortion. It's your choice. Case closed, the end, bottom line. And by the way, a 3-month-old kid in your belly is not a fucking human being. Okay? It's a bunch of little congregate cells. You're not a human till you're in my phone book. There, my hat is now in the political ring.
I don't know how that happened. I've been traveling a lot, and then like I didn't feel nervous about coming out here because I trust you people, and I think we're okay. But like maybe my stomach was, I don't know. Like I've always been an anxious, nervous person, and I would have psychosomatic events. Is that the word? Did I ever tell you that story about how I cured being a hypochondriac? Do you know that story? That's a good story. My father was a doctor, which means I was a hypochondriac. How else are you going to get their attention? Now, am I going to tell? Okay, let's do it. When you grow up with a dad who's a doctor, you have access to other doctors. And, well, here's the story. I was at college. I was a sophomore in college. And somewhere about a month or so before Christmas break, I decided that I had MS. So I started calling my father. I'm like, Dad, I have MS. And he's like, you don't have MS. I'm like, how do you know? How do you know? You haven't examined me? I don't know how you would know that. He goes, I know you don't have MS. He goes, what are your symptoms? I'm like, I don't know. My hands are tingly. So you don't have MS. Are you drinking coffee? I'm like, I drink coffee. It's probably coffee. He's like, no, I have MS. And then, okay. So he hangs up. And then like a couple weeks later, I call him up. I'm like, I have MS. I still have MS. He's like, you don't have MS. And then that ends that conversation. And then like a week before, a week before, I call him up and I'm like, Dad, I have prostate cancer. I have prostate cancer. He goes, how do you know? It's like, I don't know. It hurts down by my balls and stuff. And I think I have prostate cancer. It kind of hurts on my butt cheeks and stuff. And he's like, you don't have prostate cancer. I'm like, I do. And then I called him every day for a week. Just like, I have prostate cancer. I have prostate cancer. It's like, you're too young for prostate cancer. I know I have it. So I get off the plane when I go home. It's like 6 or 7 at night, and my father says, we're going to Bob Rosen's house to get you examined. This is a urologist friend of his. So he's taking me to a man's house to be examined for prostate cancer. So he picks me up at the airport. He's like, no, we're going now. I'm like, I don't think why can't I just go to his office? No, you have prostate cancer. We're going to go now. So we drive to this guy's house, who he doesn't know we're coming. So we walk up to the door. My father knocks on the door, and Bob literally is like, he shows up, he's got a napkin, he's wiping his mouth. I see his family's at the dinner table. My father goes, my son thinks he has prostate cancer. Can you take a look? And Bob's like, I don't know. What do you mean? He's, well, come on in. And then he goes back to the table, he puts a napkin down, and then he walks me and my father into his bedroom, and we're all standing there. I'm like, this in any other situation would be illegal. Whatever's happening, whatever's about to happen, this is bad. And thank God Bob says, you know what, you should probably come to the office. I don't think this is the place to do this. And my father's like, are you sure? Is that all right with you, kid? I'm like, yeah, it's probably better. All right, so Bob didn't finger bang me in his bedroom. With my father watching, nonetheless. So this is how I cured my hypochondria. So I go to Bob's office. Does the horrible examination. It's a very different. It's, you know, when you're a man, this is. I know women have their thing, but I'm not a woman. I know that as a dude, I got to go in and get finger banged by a guy, you know, once a year in a clinical way. But it's always awkward. It's never a pleasant situation. The most awkward part about it is like you get to a certain age where it's about to happen, and it goes in, and you're like, oh, I kind of get this. Wait, I'm not changing my life. So, but. It does seem to do something. But okay, so he gives me the examination, and then, you know, he diagnosed. It's really hard. I don't want to go into it. It's too. But he does the examination. Turns out I had something. Huh? Yay! I had some sort of prostatitis, which my dad gets to. It's some sort of, you know, sensitive to it or what. So I had something. Great. I was right. Now, what happens next is a week later, it's supposed to be gone, but I still feel it, right? So I go into Bob's office, and I go, I think I still have it. He goes, no, you've been on antibiotics for 12 days. It's gone. I'm like, nah, I'm pretty sure that I have it still. He's like, no, you don't have it. I'm like, I don't know. He goes, you want me to examine you again? If you have to. So he does it again. I do it again. I get finger banged by Bob Rosen again. Twice. Okay. So now, like, another week goes by. I'm about to go back to school, and I decide I have herpes on my cock. Now, the irony of this is I had not had sex. I'd somehow gotten it from something. It was a unique case. So sadly, I probably just I probably just jerked off too hard. That was the sad part about it. Like, all right, anyways. Look, I didn't want to do this story. All right, so now I got to go back to Bob Rosen. So this is like, I've been at his house. I've been finger banged by him twice. And now a week later, I'm going back with herpes that isn't even there. So I go into Bob's office and I go, he's like, what's up? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I got herpes. Have you had sex recently? No, I've never had it. Then how do you think you have? I just think I have herpes. And so he goes, all right, take your pants down. So I take my pants down, and he sits down, he rolls up one of those chairs, you know, and he's got my cock in his hand. He's holding my cock. And he looks at it, and he goes, you know, there's nothing here, Mark. Do you like coming here? That ended my hypochondriacal period. That was the end of that. Nip that in the bud.
I did some shows in Mexico, and like everywhere I go, as soon as I check into my hotel room, I immediately hang the "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door. Or for the Spanish speaking, "No moleste." That was kind of a creepy feeling hanging that on my door before bed. Nope. No moleste. Not tonight. Try a couple doors down. And actually, after I did that joke one night in Omaha, this guy came up to me and he said, just so you know, I'm a Spanish interpreter, and moleste means to annoy or bother. I know. No moleste. So he thought that I thought there were sexual predators running up and down the halls of the resort where I was staying, and that all the management decided to do, instead of springing for some security, was just to run down to the local Kinko's and run off some shoddy, low-rent signs that just said, no moleste. So like you're in your room at night and someone's banging on the door, trying to beat the door down, and you're like, no moleste. And he's like, oh, sorry. Sign was turned the wrong way. Said, si moleste. Oh, okay, cool. Could you just turn that around for me? Thanks, creepy. So that guy in Omaha just must have been dying to let me know, just through my whole set, just dying to let me know that he was an idiot.
Are you looking for a way to meet writers, poets, and spoken word media makers? Local 107.3 FM's Spoken Word Collective can help you do that and more. With support from Local FM's radio resources, our Spoken Word Collective is an opportunity to get involved in everything from radio dramas to workshops and even collaboration. If you're interested and want to learn more, head over to swc.localfm.ca.
You can put whatever slant on it you like, but if you want to say your name and that you're listening to 107.3 Local FM. Community boy. And here we are, another same old ID. I should have made a new one this past weekend. I've got the clips pulled from like 5 episodes. I just need to take like 20 minutes and make an ID. But I forgot. And yeah, I worked most of the weekend. I had Sunday off, but then anyway, no excuses. Maybe next week I'll have. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. Hopefully I'll have a fresh one for you. So heard some hot comedy tracks there. Started off with Bill Hicks, Pro-Life. That's from 1997. Then we had Mark Maron with Hypochondria and Tig Notaro, No Moleste, and we're back with Jon Forward complaining about stuff. Having a hard time booking comedy shows these days. I think I've mentioned this in the past, but you know, it used to be much easier. I'd make a post for No Jokes Barred spots in our secret New Brunswick stand-up Facebook page and get a big pile of requests within an hour, and it pained me. I had to make decisions and edit and figure out, like, okay, this person was here this many months ago, but this one was only this, and they answered at this time, and this person, it took a little bit. There was a whole do, which was good because there was, you know, I could make variety on the shows and prioritize people. I get so many people that it would spill over into future months. I would say, like, all right, these people can do this one, but then you people, you can be on the next month, and sometimes it even went like a few months out. I could be picky and insist that that local people maybe show up to watch a show before getting booked on it, which unfortunately I don't really have that luxury anymore. I'm just happy to get anybody that I can get. Last time I posted, I only got a handful of requests, which were pretty much mostly from the people that have been on the last show and the one before that, which is fine. I'm glad those people exist, and I'm happy to give stage time for the people that are willing to put the work in. But, for the sake of the audience and, keeping the show, I'd like to have some variety, but I'm kind of stuck with a limited pool of people that are that want to do any show. I don't know. People are kind of tucked into their own corners these days. But there's comedians around. There are as many as there ever have been. There's more shows to do, so I guess people aren't as hungry for it. But there's a whole pile of comedians just around St. John that just don't seem to bother anymore. Some of them have like legit reasons, having babies and such, but some of them are big shot New Brunswick comedy superstars, and they're too good for lowly open mics. But they're so good actually that they don't even need any practice on stage. They can go right out and practice in front of people that have bought tickets. And, they don't need any audience feedback on their material to edit it. They just, they're that good. They can do all the writing at home. And, some other comics just don't seem to feel like it. I don't know if it's laziness or indifference or what. And, there's no real push for anybody to work harder, I guess, because there's... I don't know, the market's kind of saturated, and anybody that really much wants to get up on stage can. There isn't really competition, I guess, because, everybody else that's booking shows is probably having a hard time too. And, the lazy comics that don't do any shows, they still get the occasional invite booking onto to ticketed shows, even though they're not really putting in the work. Because, everybody wants that variety. You'd rather have this new person who hasn't been on stage in 3 months than this person who's solid and works at it, but they were just here last time. And it's if there was a good number of people kind of in the trenches working at it and getting better and better, then they'd blow all these lazy comics out of the water, and it'd force everybody to kind of step up their game. But that's not really happening. There's probably like a half dozen people making an honest effort to get up on stage regularly, and like more than one stage, and but those half dozen people can't be on every show. And this is an even bigger problem trying to book the O'Leary's show, because it's called Uptown Comedy Deluxe, and I want to give the audience the deluxe treatment, but I can't do that if I need to lower the bar so low that it's basically an open mic show. Not that there's anything wrong with an open mic show, but I've got a vision for the kind of show that I want the O'Leary's one to be. I just don't always have the content to back that up. And but it used to be, it wasn't always like this. Most of the people that I was comfortable giving those like extended sets have either moved away or don't really travel for shows outside of their own city, which maybe they can't afford to it. I don't know. I might be my comic privilege here, but and a lot of some of them have quit comedy. Some of them have become singer-songwriters. Barf. And at least one of them has died. And, so I've got a limited set of options to work with. And this is not to disparage anybody that, I've been putting on the shows. If I've asked you to be on the show, it's because I like you, and, I think you have the potential to do well. Not everybody does well every single time, and that's not necessarily what I'm expecting. I want this show, I want people to, use it as kind of a stepping stone to bigger and better things, give them the opportunity to stretch. You know, a 15-minute set of like open mic level comedy is pretty painful to watch. A 30-minute open mic level set is gonna make people want to kill themselves. So, you know, and you know, if I do all the work of getting somebody in the seat to watch the show and it happens to be a bad show, then maybe they don't come back. And, you know, I've got enough material that I can fill in and do that 30-minute headline spot if I can't find somebody else. Despite what it looks like, I'm not like going out of my way to book myself as the headliner all the time, but not a lot of options. And because, you know, I'd still rather it not be me as often as it is. There are some shows where if it gets booked up, then I don't even put myself on the lineup at all. The last one, Marty D was supposed to headline, and you know that he passed away, and I needed a headliner, and at short notice didn't really have anybody from the handful of people that I'm comfortable giving 30 minutes to, so I did it myself. But originally I wasn't even going to be on that show. I offered the spot to Sabrina and Chris and Marty suggested that he come down with Ghislain, and so that was the lineup, so I was happy to sit that one out. But you know, I jumped in when I had to. But you know, I just don't have a headliner for June yet. I've got somebody lined up for July. But yeah, I don't know. I just I can do it. I've got enough material that I can rotate through stuff and not repeat anything back to back. But, you know, I don't want people to get tired of seeing me all the time. I don't want to burn all my material. I've got the Fringe Festival coming up. If people see me doing half-hour sets too often, then there's not going to be a whole lot of new stuff to see at the Fringe. But you know, and honestly, I'm a little self-conscious that it looks like I'm just booking myself for my own selfish reasons, which, you know, why shouldn't I be able to? I'm putting the show together. I've been running it for years. Give myself the stage time. I've earned it. But, you know, I'd rather mix it up. And, you know, I've been kind of disillusioned about it. And I was thinking, like, almost, you know, why do I bother anymore? I made a post in the stand-up group about it and got a couple of people that sent me messages, which I appreciated. And I offered them some spots. And, because, you know, on top of the, you know, I just appreciate people being proactive and actually asking for spots. It saves me from the work of asking people, but, you know, when somebody asks me for a spot, that tells me that they're reaching and they want to get more than what they have, and they're not just waiting for it to come to them. So, you know, if somebody's kind of maybe in my head not quite ready for it, asking me for the spot might put you ahead of the curve. I don't know if that's justified, but that's how my dumb brain works. And I don't know. I wish people were working a little bit harder to get better at what they do, so that, you know, some people, if I see them do like a really banging set somewhere, I might go out of my way to ask them. I remember Matt Keenan did really well at the Hubcap contest pretty early on, and I offered him the spot, and he's probably the newest comic that I ever put up there. And but, you know, I wish people were working a little bit harder at it, because the cities where comics in like their first 5 or even 10 years into comedy, where they have a chance to do like 15 or 30-minute sets, is probably rare. I don't know if it happens anywhere. And it's not like a big money maker, but between like $20 and $40 minimum, regardless of who shows up, plus whatever we hustle in the tip jar, is not bad. It's gas money from Fredericton or Moncton, maybe not the 20, but, you know, I've driven to Halifax to do open mics down there and didn't get paid a nickel for it, and I had to pay my own way up. Again, privilege. Maybe not everybody's in a position to do that, but I don't know. I want people to work harder. And if things keep up, it's gonna either have to be Jon Forward and friends every week, which will give me a chance to work on stuff, but it's not gonna drive the attendance up if it's the same people all the time. And I don't want to turn it into just another open mic show. I don't want the bar to cancel it, and I don't want to have to cancel it myself just because it becomes more of a chore putting it together than anything else. But anyway, that's enough complaining for now. Let's get some more hot comedy tracks. Let's go with some token Canadian comedians. If I don't, all of the comedians will they'll protest me. They'll make parody videos. They demand their voices to be heard, and these are good ones. I've worked with all of these people, so we're going to hear some K. Trevor Wilson, some Kathleen McGee, and some Andrew Albert. And then I'll be back on St. Jon Forward Radio.
The last time I drove through Quebec, I saw something I have never seen before or since. And I will admit to you, it troubled me. It was a sign on the side of the highway, yellow diamond sign, and on it there was a picture of a road, not unlike the road I was traveling on. So I was fairly certain that this was a road sign. Thank you, that is a really stupid joke, but I also like it. It's very funny. So on this sign, next to the picture of the road, was another picture of a face. Just a face floating next to the road. It was a bearded face, not unlike my own. It was pretty much eyes, nose, lips, beard. That was the face. And the lips were in a very distinct blowing shape. They were. And there were arrows coming out of the lips, so you knew it was an outward blow and not an inward suck. There were about 4 or 5 arrows coming out of the lips, going in all kinds of crazy directions. But always the arrows crossed the road. And I saw that sign. And I had no idea what it was trying to tell me. I knew it was a warning, because I know that about yellow diamond signs. They are traditionally warnings. You see a yellow diamond, it's usually got a picture of a deer, or a moose, or some falling rocks. And what that sign is saying is, look out! For deer, or moose, or falling rocks. What am I looking out for? What is going on in Quebec that the rest of the country is not aware of? Are the floating heads of mountain men wandering down from the hills to spit arrows on Highway 20? Because that's what the sign says. I had to look up the meaning of that sign, which means it is failing as a warning. I should not be on my phone on Google while driving. I still don't know what dangers lie ahead, and now I'm driving distracted. That's doubly unsafe. Also, it turns out it is very hard to look up the meaning of something that you only have a vague description of. And I can tell you this, typing the words bearded man blowing road sign into a Google search was the wrong thing to do. That search brought me no answers. Just more questions. You know it's fucked up when Google doesn't even have a suggestion. Did you mean? I got nothing. I
was watching porn the other day, and I can remember that right away. I was watching this porn called Come and Knock on My Door, because I thought it was going to be like a Three's Company, like roommates fucking, but it was just a bukkake film. If you don't know what bukkake is, it's an act where a lady lies down. And like 7 or more guys jerk off onto her till she's covered in cum. It's crazy. I tried it once. It is not for me. Okay? Listen, I like to be the center of attention, not the target. That's too much. It's not even the act of bukkake that, like, it's that word. It just makes me smile. Like, I'm having a bad day, I'll get on the bus, I'll be like, bukkake! Everybody wants to talk to me. I want to be able to use that word in my everyday life without being labeled a whore. So I bought a little white kitten and I named it Bukkake. It's very funny. Awkward when it gets out at night. Gotta wander around my neighborhood. Bukkake? Sorry, I'm just looking for Bukkake. Putting up reward posters. Bukkake, $50. What do you mean that's a good deal? Why are there 7 of you? Anyway, long story short, I have this kitten named Bukkake, and my mom comes to visit, and she's playing with the kitten, and she just looks up at me, and she's like, well, that's neat. I've never heard that word before. What does Bukkake mean? So I had to explain to my 65-year-old mother, the woman I French kissed when I was 11, that Bukkake was Japanese for surrounded by loved ones. But she didn't believe me, so she went to work and she Googled Bukkake. She does not work for the provincial government anymore. You guys were awesome. Thank you so much.
Kathleen McGee, everybody.
I was in Walmart. Walmarts and big department stores are the same across the country. You know what I mean? I'm shopping through Walmart. I didn't pack socks. Don't judge. Shit happens, right? So I'm cruising through Walmart, and you know across the country, you know when the mic comes on, you hear the... And we all do the same thing, like the, oh? Hey, did I leave my lights on today? Am I going to get called down to the Walmart office? Around the country, you'll hear the manager comes on and they're like, we have a code 85 in sporting goods. Could I get an associate to sporting goods for a code 85? And whoever works in sporting goods is like somebody stealing fishing tackle. 85. On it! Not on their watch. Not today. Newfoundland, you add second gear to that shit? I swear to God, the mic came on. Lord Thunder and Jesus. There are shopping carts all over the goddamn place up here. Can I get an associate to help clean this up, please? And Tina, if I told you once, I told you 13 times there's pickle tongue broken in aisle 9, that shit is not going to clean itself up. Greg, your ex-wife is online too. I told that girl not to be calling here no more. Could I get a gun, please, from Sporting Goods? Just one fucking bullet's all I need.
Oh, and I'm back. We've got about 10 minutes left in the show. I want to fit in some more hot comedy tracks. I'm going to have to cut off some of my complaining. I will throw my my hat in the ring if this is kind of inside baseball, if you're not a comedian. I mentioned using the New Brunswick stand-up group for show postings and stuff. And over the last little while, the page has kind of become a spammy dumping ground for, like, hey, listen to my podcast, and, like, buy tickets for this show that's coming up this weekend, and it's getting super annoying. I don't know. It's not, like, a lot, but it's more than zero. And I don't know. Maybe the booking issue that I'm having, I might be grasping at straws. I think at least part of it is because of the spam. People aren't seeing the posts. They probably have turned off their notifications. Maybe not. But I don't know. They posted a poll this week giving like the options for like stand-up only stuff, stand-up and stand-up related things like podcasts are okay. Another option is stand-up and whatever non-stand-up stuff you want is okay. And for some reason that one is neck and neck with only stand-up, please. I don't know why. A group of comedians is not exactly the group of people that I would expect to be so gung-ho for our little corner of Facebook to just devolve into billboards and advertisements and clickbait. But democracy seems to have spoken. It's neck and neck. If you haven't voted yet, get in there. Pick whichever one you want, only if the one that you want is the same one that I want. But I don't know. If it doesn't go my way, I'm just going to have to start blocking people so that I don't see their trash on our New Brunswick stand-up lawn. But I don't know. I also think people that aren't actively performing comedy or booking shows should even be in the group, but that's a battle for another day. Anyway, it's just, I don't know. I'm tired of the spam, and it doesn't work. When I see somebody post something like that in there, it makes me actively not want to click on their thing. No, I'm not going to listen to your podcast that sounds like a ripoff of a better podcast I already listened to. It might be great, but you're spamming me, and I don't want to hear it anymore. Not just that guy. There's other stuff. Like, I have a new podcast. This is what it is and where you can find it. That's fine, but not like every week. Just here's an episode. Same with shows. I've got like Troy Haynes posts, I've got an upcoming series of shows in Fredericton. This is the plan. Hit me up if you want spots. That's fine, but we don't need to see the event posts over and over and over again. Maybe borderline if it's like, hey, if you're a comic, it's free to come see this show. That's borderline. Anyway, let's get some tracks in. And then I'll come back at the end. So many to choose from. I wanted to play 2,000-Year-Old Man by Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, but it's too long. Don't have time. That'll be on Hot Comedy Tracks Part 3. Let's hear some Eugene Merman now, and maybe another short one. We'll see.
So I just did a book tour where I wrote a book. I didn't just go to stores and read from random. Like, I think you people would like Mark Twain. What I found was that in every city, there would be a crazy person who would come to the reading, and at the end of the reading, the people from the bookstore would go like, I see you met Jeremy. And when I was in Seattle, there was a lady who had brought a cup of noodles with her from home that she had made. And this woman actually had previously been banned from the store. And then they were like, you know what, you can come back for Eugene. So she's there eating from her cup of noodles. And there's a point in my book where I go like, I'm Jewish, and then I go, sorry. And it's whatever it is, but then all of a sudden she stops eating and she goes, why did you apologize for being Jewish? And I become a little annoyed, so I go, because it's a terrible thing. Which she was very shocked by. But then what happened at the end of my presentation, there was a little boy in back who was probably about 12, and he points at me and he goes, why is everybody looking at him and not at me? Oh, because he's funny. Like that. It was sort of odd. And then what it turned out was that this boy was the son of someone who worked there and that he had Asperger's. So he couldn't judge social situations, and he created rules and rituals. And then right after that, he said the most amazing thing. He pointed at me again and he went, why doesn't he accept me as his God? It was amazing. And when that little boy doesn't understand, is that I do. I find the specificity of religion so confusing. Like, if you're Jewish, you have to wear a hat, but only in the middle of your head. But it all becomes clear the second that you realize that God is a 12-year-old boy with Asperger's. No wonder he's like, I fucked up the earth. I should probably flood it and get 2 of every animal on a boat. That's the only solution I see as God. No wonder he's like, you can't eat pork and you can't eat horses. And you're like, I wasn't going to eat a horse. And he's like, good, because you can't. And you can't have sex. It's gross. And you're like, what about gay sex? And he's like, I'll turn you into salt. Religion. It's not a leap of faith. It's high-functioning autism. It finally makes sense.
That story is about my parents, and I was visiting my parents recently, and I don't like them. I love them, don't get me wrong, I would die for them, but if I met them at a party, I'd be like, these people, yeah, this place is beat, we're out of here, because my parents are Italian, but they eat at the Olive Garden, literally. And my dad will show off by pronouncing menu items authentically. He'll be like, I'll have the pasta fagioli. And I'm like, we're sitting in a strip mall between a Build-A-Bear and a Spencer Gifts. You'll have the pasta fagioli like everybody else. You're not special. They make up phrases. I realized this as an adult when I would say the things that my parents said to me as kids to people in the outside world. And they would be like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, but my mother said that. Oh no, and my whole life when I wasn't allowed to do something, my mother would say, like fun you're doing that. Anybody ever heard that phrase? Yeah, like fun. Like, that's really confusing for a child because it would seem like she's encouraging me to do it, She'd be like fun, you're going to the mall. I was like, yeah, like fun. Burger Buddies, arcade, like fun. But then I realized as an adult that like fun was her way of saying like hell. Yeah. Because she's Catholic. And for Catholics, hell is fun.
And we're back. St. Jon Forward Radio is also fun. Anyway, we're coming up on the end. So yeah, just to summarize, I hate everybody. Not really, but bad mood today, but I'll get over it. I had a fun time being self-sufficient. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show too. We just had some Eugene Merman and then Mike Birbiglia at the end there because it was the shortest track on my playlist, and I liked it. So anyway, St. Jon Forward Radio. It's on 9 o'clock every Monday, live here on Local FM. You can listen to the podcast version. Go to johnforward.podbean.com, or if you just go to johnforward.com, down at the bottom, there's a collection of, there's a little podcast player if you're not sure where to go to. But anyway, all that stuff, Facebook, Instagram, the notes will be in the podcast version. You know how to use Google. I don't need to tell you where everything is. So got some stuff coming up. June 7th is going to be Uptown Comedy Deluxe. Still working on who's going to be on it. And then June 15th will be No Jokes Barred at McGill's. I haven't even asked anybody to do that one yet. I've got actually a couple of people have reached out to me. I think I've got 3 people lined up. I'll be looking for some more. If you're hearing this, feel free to ask me before I have to make a post on Facebook. But anyway, check all that stuff out. Also, I've got the Fringe Festival coming up the end of August, which I'll talk about more in the coming weeks.